Hello everyone, my name is Slade, I'll be your host, and welcome to Star Wars Did You Know? The aquatic humanoid species known as the Melodie were native to the moon of Yavin 8 and inhabited its various equatorial mountains, where they lived in underwater caverns as well as lakes, with various cave systems interlocking the different communities. Thought by some xenobiologists to be the result of Sith alchemy, the Melodie were a peaceful people who largely kept to themselves. Living in their mountain lake communities, the Melodie would lay clutches of eggs together, and the young would then hatch and would be cared for by older Melodie who had not yet changed into their aquatic form. Young Melodie resembled your average humanoid, though with some obvious differences such as webbed hands and feet. They would remain this way for the first 20 years of their life, at which point these young Melodie, called changelings, would undergo a changing ceremony, which could take several weeks. While the Melodie were always vulnerable to the various predators on Yavin 8, they were especially vulnerable during the changing ceremony, and had to be protected from the various predators on their planet from the other Melodie who had not yet undergone the changing ceremony. This meant that a bunch of teenagers essentially had to guard their older cousins and relatives from various massive snakes, birds, spiders, and rodents that wished to devour them. Once the change was completed, Melodie's hands and feet would be altered significantly, with their legs becoming a long, slender tail with a fluke at the end of it, and their hands becoming almost completely fused into newly formed webbed members. This confined them entirely to water, and though they could come above water for a time, the older a Melodie got, the less capable they were of staying above water at all, and eventually they were fully confined to their aquatic homes. As mentioned before, there is no clear consensus on where the Melodie came from originally. They are sentient and do keep records of their histories in individuals known as the Keeper of Legends. However, these keepers have never shared the full history of their species with any other outsider. Ultimately, the fate of the Melodie is uncertain at this time, as during the Yuuzhan Vong War their planet was taken by the Yuuzhan Vong, and while it is unknown if Yavin 8 was subject to the same sort of scouring of all life as Yavin 13, we do know that the Yuuzhan Vong hunted on Yavin 8, killing several Melodie, perhaps even wiping the species out. The only exception to this possible extinction would be those that were off-planet, namely young Force sensitives who were trained to be Jedi. But if these ones are the last of their species, then they're going to be having a very, very lonely life. Given the relative obscurity of the Melodie, and their unknown nature within the fandom, it's highly unlikely that we'll ever actually have an answer as to whether or not the species went extinct, or continued to thrive hidden in the mountains of their homeworld. Alright everyone, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, feel free to like and subscribe. There'll be more content coming. If you'd like to support the channel on Patreon, please do so. Every little bit helps. Until next time, this is your host Slade, and this has been Star Wars Did You Know?